This is the Rod Langway Fan Club.
Welcome, everybody, to the Rod Langway Fan Club podcast. I am your host, Jeff Roman. It's our special 2026 Olympic preview. It's the first time we've had best on best in 12 years. I'm with a couple of co-hosts who are always at their best. Mr. Mark Czechia.
I've been training hard for this one, guys. I'm not sure I'll make the podium, but I'll give it my best.
And John Snowden.
Yeah, my gold medal was a piece of chocolate covered in foil. Kind of got stuck in my teeth.
I am so excited, guys. We've been waiting forever for this tournament.
Yes, we had a little amuse-bouche last winter to prepare us for this one, but this is the main dish right here. I'm so looking forward to seeing this best on best tournament. It's going to be so exciting. I can't wait to get going.
And go we shall. We've been poring over all of these rosters, and we're going to break down each of the three pools and also give you our gold medal picks.
Yes, we should mention off the hop that there will be no Team Russia competing at this tournament. Whatever you think about the political situation surrounding this, it is certainly a shame for hockey to not see some of those best Russian players out there. That means no Nikita Kucherov. Also, no Alexander Ovechkin, and this may be his last chance to compete in an Olympic tournament. No Shesterkin, no Sorokin, no Andrei Vasilevsky. I mean, that would be probably the greatest goalie trio maybe ever assembled for an Olympic tournament. So hockey is certainly better when Russia's competing. It's a shame we're not going to have them there. But moving on to some of the teams that we do have competing in this tournament, there are certainly some compelling pools here. I would suggest we dive into the C.
The C?
Pool C.
Okay.
Everybody loves a good villain. Let's start at the top of the pool with the United States of America.
Yeah, Team USA. Now, does this team have another miracle in them?
Well, they certainly have a lot of strengths. In fact, it's hard to see a weakness on this squad. What do we think is their biggest strength, though?
For me, it's got to be that defense core. You look at the balance from top to bottom. They've got arguably the second and third best defensemen in the world with Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski. And then you throw on top of that former Rod Langway Award winners Jacob Slavin and Charlie McAvoy. This is just top to bottom, I think, by far the best defense core in this tournament.
Yeah, now they had a replacement here. Jackson Lacombe has come in for the injured Adam Fox. What do we think about this addition here?
I was slightly surprised. I thought they might at least consider Lane Hudson.
Yeah, I think that they see him as redundant with a guy like Quinn Hughes on the team. I agree. I would have liked to see Lane Hudson there as well. I'm sure he'll have his chance, though, in the next Olympics.
Okay, well, I would like to talk about the goaltending on this squad. It is pretty deep, pretty compelling goaltending trio here with Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. Who do you think gets game one?
I think they've got to go with the reigning Vezina Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuck, right, Jeff?
I would think so, but he hasn't played that well this season. I know Winnipeg's had a rough go.
That's true. I would probably agree they go with Hellebuck. I think he'll be on a slightly shorter lease than he would have last season. Jeremy Swayman is maybe arguably the better big game goaltender of this trio, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. Because if you look at Jake Ottinger, he's not done very much in his career, and he's actually really struggled in Dallas this year. So on paper, it looks great, but I actually could see this being an issue for them.
Yeah, it's maybe not as ironclad as it was last year with the Four Nations Cup.
Let's take a look at this forward group. Very strong, but there were a few notable omissions.
Yeah, I mean, yes, a very strong group for sure. Lots of firepower, but interestingly, the Americans' top scorer in the NHL this season is Jason Robertson. He is not on the team. At this point, he's got 66 points in 57
that one
games.
Surprised me.
Yeah. Big time offensive contributor. Also, Alex DeBrincat did not qualify for this team. This guy's already got 30 goals, great power play guy. Again, an offensive talent guy who can pot the puck. You'd think that you would want these kinds of guys on your team.
Yeah, for me, the most glaring omission is Cole Caulfield, who has 32 goals. He's tied with Matthew Boldy for most goals by an American player. And he also leads the NHL with 8 game-winning goals. This guy has just been clutch this year, and actually in previous seasons as well. You know, if it goes down to the final game and we're overtime again, this is the kind of guy the Americans would want out there getting that big goal. So I think that could be a big mistake.
Okay, but the team does have its bright spots with the forward group as well.
The Tkachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew, I'm sure they'll be causing lots of mayhem out there.
And of course, they will be led by team captain Austin Matthews. After a slow start to the season, he's starting to round into form. Of course, the question around him is can he do it in the big moments?
Yes, big question marks around that. I mean, he kind of flubbed the coverage on Connor McDavid with that game-winning goal in the last tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds after that. I really like Matt Boldy on this team. He's up to 62 points in his 54 games this season, 32 goals. He can bring some physical play as well.
And Mark, I know you're a big fan of Jack Eichel.
Yeah, Jack Eichel is one of the best two-way centermen in the league, offensive dynamo, but plays a responsible game, and he's a winner. Stanley Cup champion as well. This is going to be one of the guys, I think, stirring the drink for the Americans.
I love those guys from Michigan, especially Kyle, Connor, and Dylan Larkin. They both went to the University of Michigan, and I expect they're going to have a good tournament.
Oh, absolutely. You know, there are a couple guys that I wonder about. You look at a guy like Jack Hughes, who's been injured, and, you know, he really underperformed at the last international tournament, the Four Nations. A lot of people wondering, should he have even been on the team? If you look at some of the guys not on the team, maybe he was a guy they could have left behind. Another guy is Clayton Keller. He's had a good year. But again, is he better than some of the guys that were left off?
Yeah, I think these are good questions. It'll all be answered. And, if they don't come up with a medal or even a gold medal, I think these questions will become very, very pertinent.
Yes. I was happy at least that they did bring in Tage Thompson this time, unlike the Four Nations.
Yeah, he's been absolutely dynamite. Just such a load. When he gets moving, it's hard to stop him. And that shot is second to none.
Obviously, they brought along J.T. Miller and Vincent Trocheck for that physical play.
Yeah, lots of snarl there. JT Miller, bit of an off-season, not a great locker room guy, but I don't know. I guess they like him.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this forward group, for me, they did really lean into that grit. So they're going to be a tough team to play against. It's a small ice surface. It'll be interesting to see how this strategy actually plays out.
Yes, and for those of you keeping score at home, the Americans have yet to win an Olympic gold when it's best on best. The closest they've come was in 2002 and then again in 2010 with a couple of silver medals.
And for what it's worth, they did break their 92-year drought at the World Championships this past year, so perhaps that's a good omen. Next up, let's talk about Team Germany. They've come a long way since UA Krupp and Olaf Kolzig.
The Germans, of course, led by flag bearer for the German national team, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, great guy to be heading up your squad in the NHL this season. He has 80 points in 55 games. Phenomenal year.
One of the best players in the world. But they've got some other high-end talent. You look at a guy like Tim Stützle, who's at 60 points through 56 games. He is a dual threat, good shooter, great passer, such a dynamic skater. He's going to be a force out there.
Not to mention JJ Paderka of the Utah Mammoth. But after that, it really thins out on the forward group.
Yeah, I mean, they still have Nico Sturm. He's still, a player for the Minnesota Wild. But yeah, not a lot of secondary scoring options with this team.
Perhaps Dominic Cahoon can contribute. He's been at the last two Olympics.
Yeah, and they've got some other guys, like a guy like Lucas Reichel, who's in the AHL. He's been kind of knocking on the door, playing NHL games. So he's a high-quality player. But yeah, if they don't get this top-end scoring, then they're going to be in trouble.
They do have a stud on defense.
Absolutely. Moritz Seider. This guy is good at both ends of the ice. He brings a bit of a physical edge. He could be a decent anchor on that blue line. However, after that, it tails off pretty quickly.
Yeah, no other NHL players on their defense core. The goaltending does have one NHL player, though.
Yes, Philip Grubauer, who has really turned it around this season for the Seattle Kraken. So he's pretty solid back there.
He's going to have to be behind, again, an untested defense core. It's always a big step facing NHL talent. A lot of these guys are not going to know what hit them.
Yes, but if you need a burger, Matthias Niederberger might be the guy for the job.
He has looked pretty good in some of the World Championships.
Yes, and one final note I think is really cool. Back in 2018, the Germans captured a silver medal. Remember coming so close against the Russians?
That was a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, of course, that was not against NHL talent, but still, that is the standard that they set. And if they could advance beyond the quarterfinals, that would be absolutely massive for German hockey.
They did win a silver medal at the 2023 World Hockey Championship. And I think hockey is better when Germany is competitive.
Okay, next up, we have the home of Hamlet with Denmark here, led by our Danish prince, Nikolai Ehlers, the top Danish scorer in NHL history. So remarkable fact for a guy who's not even all that old.
They also have Oliver Bjorkstrand from Tampa Bay Lightning. He's very good on the power play, has a pretty good shot.
And of course, the veteran and Stanley Cup experience of Lars Eller will certainly come in handy as he'll have to do a lot of heavy lifting coming up against some really high quality centermen.
After that, though, the forward depth just drops off a cliff.
Yes, certainly not a lot of familiar names with the forward group. The defense as well, not a lot of landmark players here. The goaltending, though, we do have Freddie Anderson. He's coming back from injury. We'll see how he fares in this tournament.
Yeah, Freddie always seems to be coming back from injury.
Yeah.
He is going to be the guy who gets the first start, but maybe Mads Sogard gets in there as well. He's got some NHL experience right now playing in Belleville in the Ottawa Senators organization.
Yes, not an overwhelming number of Great Danes here, but it is great to see this country make some strides. If they could come out with a win or two, I think that'd be a big boon for the country.
Last up, let's talk about Team Latvia. I love their fans. They've got a lot of enthusiasm. What do we think of this squad?
Yeah, again, not a lot of NHL talent on this team. I suppose they'll be led by Teddy Bluger of the Vancouver Canucks. And
Bluger.
of course, Zemgus Girgensons, one of the great names in the NHL. He's had a nice career, 800 plus games in the league, now a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, it's hard to see how this team is going to score a lot of goals in this tournament. And on the defensive end of things, I got to say, very few people that I am familiar with.
Well, there's Juvis Balinskis, who has been playing a fairly prominent role with the Stanley Cup champions Florida Panthers with the injuries they've faced.
You know, you can never count out Latvia. Do you guys remember in 2014, Canada just barely squeaked by them in the quarterfinals? They won 2-1.
Yeah, they had a 55 save performance by then 21-year-old goaltender Kristers Gudlevskis. That was crazy. I remember just being so nervous that entire game and just so relieved when he survived that game.
And for this year's tournament, goaltending is going to have to be a strength.
Yeah, I mean, they have a decent combo. Elvis Merlikins, this is a real NHL goaltender, and Arthur Shilovs as well. He's been playing pretty well this year, and we did see him in some big games with Vancouver, and he performed pretty admirably. So if he could step up, might surprise a couple people in some of these games. Okay, well, how about we switch groups here over to Group B? And this is the group that contains the host country, Italy. So how about we start with them?
Well, Italy has made it twice since the NHL has joined the Olympics back in 98 and 2006, and they had a hard time.
Yes, they were in both of these tournaments because they were the host. That is the case once more. And yeah, not a lot is expected from this team. I think they're just happy to be there. It'll be a great experience for some of these guys to test their mettle against NHL caliber players.
Yes, there are no NHL players on this team. Goaltender Damian Clara was drafted by the Anaheim Ducks in the second round. And Alex Patan is actually former NHLer Nick Patan's older brother. So that's kind of cool.
That's a deep cut, John.
Yeah, we're grasping at straws here. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Now, this next team in the pool, I think that they could do some damage. Slovakia, who, of course, is led by the reigning 2022 Olympic MVP, Juraj Slafkovsky, leading his nation to a bronze medal.
Yeah, that's amazing. He won MVP.
At 17 years old. Yeah, and this has been a breakout season for him, so I think he's going to be hungry to prove that he's among the world's best.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what he can bring on this stage. There is not a lot of top-tier talent after him. They do have a couple NHLers, though.
Yeah, I think that, you look at a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky, also a first-round pick. He's making his way in the NHL with the St. Louis Blues. He's a talented player. You've also got Martin Popsicle, who was actually hurt for most of the season. He has been back for Calgary. He's a physical presence, so watch out for him. And you guys might remember one Thomas Tatar, who had a very nice NHL career. Well, he's back in Europe playing, and he will be leading the squad as their captain.
For sure. And looking at the defensive end of things, Martin Ferivari from the Washington Capitals, he's had a pretty solid year. Simon Nemec and Eric Chernak. I kind of like that trio.
Yeah, Martin Marincin also had a cup of coffee in the NHL, so there is some talent on the D-core. What about the goaltending, Jeff?
Well, they do have Adam Gajan. He was drafted 35th overall in 2023. He's only playing university, so it's hard to know what they'll get out of him.
Yeah, I think the Blackhawks will be interested to see how their young goaltending prospect is coming along, because this will be quite the test for him.
Absolutely. And for the whole Slovakian team in general. This is not an easy group.
Yeah, they certainly are a long ways from Jaroslav Halak. Wow, was he amazing when they got fourth in 2010. Next up, let's talk about Team Finland. Finland always seems to find a way to win a medal with the NHLers. They've won 4, a silver and 3 bronze. And let's not forget, this is the defending gold medal champions from 2022. What do they have in store for us this time?
Yeah, you look up and down this roster, and I mean, the elite talent at forward is not as deep as some other teams, but a guy like Sebastian Aho, the thoroughbred Rupe Hintz galloping up and down the ice, of course, will be fun to watch. And Mikko Rantanen is one of the most dangerous players in the league. So I think those guys are going to have to do the heavy lifting offensively. But as far as the rest of the forwards, a lot of good 200-foot players that play a really strong game.
Yeah, I agree. This team is going to be tough to play against. I'm looking at guys even like Aho, you mentioned. He can also play a decent defensive game. Joel Armia, Oliver Kapanen, your guy, Mark. He's pretty good. Arturi Lehkonen, very good on the other side of the ice. Anton Lundell, a couple Florida Panthers in there as well. These are guys who know how to win those games and know how to perform in those tough situations. So I think this is going to be a tough out for any team in this tournament.
And what about the defense?
Yeah, well, I mean, the top pairing, I think, will be the Dallas Stars pairing, Miro Heiskanen and Esa Lindell. And it's always nice having guys who are used to playing together. That will be an advantage. But beyond them, you look at a guy like Nico Mikkola, of course, Stanley Cup experience, physical presence back there. I think it gets a little thinner after that. They're going to need guys like Rasmus Ristolainen, Olli Mata, Henry Jokiharju to really step up and play their best hockey.
Sure. Between the pipes, not too shabby either. Jeff, what do you think about their goaltending?
Well, I really like UC Saros. I think he's a fantastic goalie. With him backstopping them, they're always going to be in games.
Yeah, and if he fails, Kevin Lankinen, not a bad option. And unfortunately, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, injured, will not be going. Joonas Korpisalo will get the nod as the third goaltender. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw all three Finnish goalies. Obviously, Saros will get the first crack at it, but I could see either of one of these three emerging.
Unfortunately, this team didn't have a great Four Nations, but they did get some experience at least.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough group, but this team could very much surprise. I wouldn't be surprised to see them even finish at the top of their group.
It's just a shame that we won't see Alexander Barkov because that would be such a big difference maker for this Finnish squad.
Yeah, talking about defensive forwards, he is the elite of the elite in that category. So yeah, shame he's not going to be there.
And let's move along to their bitter rival, the Swedes, because the Finns and the Swedes always battle it out. I can't wait till they play each other in the round robin, but I think Sweden is a little bit above Finland.
Yeah, those two teams squared off in the 2006 gold medal game, of course, won by Sweden. They had Matt Sundin, Peter Forsberg on forward. On defense, they had Nicholas Lidstrom, and in net, Henrik Lundqvist. What a fantastic team.
Just a great collection of Hall of Famers.
Yeah, absolutely. This team has some Hall of Famers of its own, though. Should we begin with the forward group?
I think so. That's the strongest. That's
I don't know.
arguable.
I would disagree. I think that the defense is their strength.
Yeah, I don't know. I like their goaltending too. How about we just start with the forwards just for convenience sake?
Sure.
So looking at the roster here, they definitely have some guys who can pot the puck. Maybe not as much high-end offensive talent as some of the other teams, but certainly no slouches. I'm kind of looking at guys like Philip Forsberg. Love him. Love his goal-scoring ability. Adrian Kempe as well. We know this is a guy who can easily pot 30 goals in an NHL season. Willie Nylander, also pretty great there. And Mika Zibanejad, maybe not, as good as he once was at scoring goals, but still no slouch.
Yes, and they also have some really good puck distributors in Jesper Bratt and Lucas Raymond. These guys have such good vision out there.
I think the one area where they maybe drop off compared to, say, the Americans and the Canadians is at center ice. Now, they do have some good center icemen. Joel Eriksson-Ek is a solid two-way player. Elias Lindholm, his best day is probably behind him. Elias Pettersson, you never know what you're going to get with him, but definitely a talent. And Alexander Wenberg, kind of a shutdown role. I just, matching up against guys like Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Eichel, Matthews, I just think they're not at that level, and that could be one area where the Swedes struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Don Cherry would always say about the Swedes that maybe they don't have as much grit as they need to win. How about this team?
Don Cherry was kind of an idiot, to be honest. So whatever. Let's ignore what he said because that does not apply to this team. There is plenty of sandpaper on this team. Philip Forsberg plays a hard game. So does Joel Eriksson-Ek. He's a very physical player. And their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, Stanley Cup champion, looks like he will be healthy enough to go. He's a gritty, tough guy down low. I don't think there's any issue with that on this Swedish team.
They also have Rickard Rakell and Pontus Holmberg. He's not very good at scoring, but he is good on the defensive end.
Well, speaking of the defensive end, I think that their defense core is elite. arguably the best in the tournament, although we could debate that. They will be led by a couple of studs, Victor Hedman and Rasmus Dahlin.
Yes, Hedman is back. He played in the Stadium Series game. I'm sure he is primed and ready to go, and he is a proven performer in these big games.
Dahlin, of course, has been starring for the Buffalo Sabres. They've been hot, and he has been in the Olympics before, back in 2018.
Yeah, and it doesn't really end there. I kind of like their defensive depth. They have a nice mix of guys who can play good defensive hockey with some Stanley Cup experience and some other guys that have some offensive upside. Some people were surprised to see Erik Karlsson named to this team, but we know what he can do. He's a little long on the tooth for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has some big moments.
Yeah, I really like Gustav Forsling, such a steady defenseman, obviously such a big part of those back-to-back championship teams in Florida. I think he's going to be counted on for some heavy minutes.
Let's talk about Team Sweden's goaltending.
Sure. I mean, interestingly, they go with the Minnesota Wild's tandem goaltenders. I think it's a nice choice, Philip Gustafsson and young Jesper Wallstedt. It's going to be very interesting to see how well these guys perform under the big lights.
Yeah, and they do have the experience of Jakob Markstrom, who's been in a lot of big games. He's definitely not the goalie that he once was. I would expect Gustafsson to get the first shot at things, but I think these other two guys could get some action in as well.
How sweet it is. This team is dangerous.
Yeah, that rounds out Pool B. It's going to be fascinating, super competitive pool, some good rivalries. I'm very excited about watching this.
Well, let's kick off Group A with who we all expect to be the bottom team, the French. This will be their first appearance since 2002.
Yeah, they've only made it twice since the NHL has started participating, and it hasn't been good.
Yeah, last time they finished 16th out of 16 teams. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they can improve at all. They don't have a particularly strong roster. Their captain is former NHLer Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Yeah, that's kind of cool at age 40, getting to represent his country. The only NHL player on the team, Alexandre Texier, who has actually just got a new contract. He's been playing well, although actually he was held out of their last couple of games with a minor injury, but it sounds like he'll be ready to go for the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a very tough group for the French to be playing in. I'd be shocked. I'm going to say shocked if they won a game.
Let's move along now to the 1998 gold medal champions, Czechia.
Oh, man. Nightmares of Dominik Hasek stealing a gold for his country.
Yeah, still can't believe they didn't let Wayne shoot.
Yeah, I can't believe that Rob Zaminer wasn't the difference maker that Canadian brass thought he would be.
What a team. Yager. Too good.
Yeah, but this team is a different team. This is a different iteration, and they have a new name now. They're Team Czechia. So what does this team bring to the table?
Well, we have to start off with the Boston Bruins forward, David Pastrnak. Wow, has this guy been hot down the stretch?
Yes, far and away their most talented offensive player. He could be a real difference maker in these big moments.
Yeah, he's going to have to be. He'll be flanked by a couple of really talented forwards, especially on that power play unit. I think about maybe Marty Necas and Pavel Zacha and even like a Thomas Hertl throwing the puck around. They could be pretty dangerous on the PP.
That's pretty good. I love the speed of Necas out there.
Yes, and their depth is better than some of the other teams for sure. I mean, I'm looking at guys like Andre Palat. He is a proven winner. Dominic Kubalik, not too bad. Andre Kasha. These are some guys that I think can do, a little bit of the lifting when called upon.
Yeah, and they've got a few defensively responsible forwards as well. Radek Fox is a pretty good shutdown centerman. David Comp will win you a faceoff if you need it. So there is some depth, not as much high-end skill as some of the other teams we'll be talking about, but they'll be plucky and not an easy out.
And how about this blue line? There's not a lot of offense in this blue line.
Yeah, you got to think that it's going to be Filip Hronek, who's kind of their power play quarterback, playing big minutes, all situations. Radko Gudas, though, he's a leader, captain of his team in the NHL, physical presence.
Yes,
I think he's
punishing hitter.
Yeah, he's going to be counted on.
Yeah, for sure. And, he's won some big games himself. It does get pretty thin after that. This team is going to be one that relies on a good team defensive game to win these big games.
And what about between the pipes?
Well, that's the thing. If the defense does break down, which it might, you do have three nice options in net, led by Lucas Dostal. But I think Karel Vejmelka will also see some significant minutes. And you know what? Dan Vladar has been a very nice story in Philadelphia. So I think all three of these guys could be counted on for big saves.
That's solid back there.
Yeah, we should not count out the 2006 bronze medalists, I suppose.
And let's also remember that back in 2024, when they first announced they were going to do a Four Nations Cup, they excluded the Czech Republic. Pasternak, all the boys were very, very angry. What do? They go out, they win the gold medal at the World Championships in 2024.
They also changed their name to Czechia.
Could have a chip on their shoulder. Be interesting to see.
Okay, let's move on to a rising hockey power who I think can compete in this pool, the Swiss.
Yeah, it's cool to see that this team has some real talent. Up front, I like their forward group. Could have a very good power play. Nico Hischier, excellent centerman. Kevin Fiala, he's a very diverse player. And Timo Meier brings a bit of grit, has some offensive pop himself. So some of the top line talent could be really, really impactful in this tournament.
Of course, to find success, they're going to need some secondary scoring as well. I'd look to a guy like Nino Niederreiter, perhaps a Pius Suter. These guys are going to have to provide a little bit of support.
Not to mention, they've got Sven Arrighetto.
Great name. He's been out of the league for a while. Not sure what he's got left in the tank, but I guess we'll find out.
Returning Dennis Malgin as well. It's nice to see his name on paper.
Former Maple Leaf. We regret that trade. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. Now, I remember when Switzerland's best defenseman was Mark Streit back in the day.
Oh,
but
he's
man,
great.
They have some pretty impressive D-men.
Of course, led by Nashville Predator captain Roman Josi. He'll be the captain of this team as well. And this could be his final Olympic appearance.
For sure. They do also have 2 Rod Langway Mustache Award nominees for the best defensive defenseman in J.J. Moser, who just got it in our last show, and Jonas Siegenthaler, who was mentioned at a wedding once, actually.
And in the crease, this has normally been a place where Switzerland has been very strong. I think back about Jonas Hiller, Gerber, Abisher. What about this time, though?
Yeah, well, they're going to schmied a big performance from Akira. He's the only NHL goaltender on the roster. He's looked pretty good in Vegas this year, but again, if he fails, it doesn't look great. I know that Red O'Bara did have a cup of coffee in the NHL with the Colorado Avalanche a few years back. Not sure how he's doing in Fribourg, but I think it's going to have to come down to Schmid.
And Leonardo Giannoni, we'll see if he sees any action. He did lead the Swiss to back-to-back silver medals at the World Championships.
Great name as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that Switzerland has always done well is play a good team game. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that in this tournament when they do have some more NHL caliber players.
And of course, we have to end by talking about Team Canada. We all remember the heartbreak in 1998. 2002, that was the revenge. 2010, we had the golden goal. 2014, just a dominant performance. Yeah. And of course, last year at the Four Nations Cup, how exciting it was to see Connor McDavid make his debut for the senior men's team. Now he makes his Olympic debut. What do we think Canada has in store for us this time?
Well, I think this might be the best collection of forwards any country has ever put together. So obviously, we've mentioned Connor McDavid. We've also got Nathan McKinnon and the rising star, Macklin Celebrini. And of course, the elder statesman, Sidney Crosby. That is absolute dominance down the middle of the ice.
Yeah, I mean, center being such an important position. I don't think any other team comes, even at all close to our center depth. It is absolutely terrifying. We do have a few changes to this roster as it was originally announced. Braden Point, he has been dealing with injuries all season, not actually been playing at the level we're accustomed to with him either. So he has decided to opt out of this tournament, and replacing him is Seth Jarvis, a Manitoba boy himself. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Seth Jarvis can do in this tournament.
Of course, Cirelli from Tampa Bay, he's off.
Yeah. So, and Sam Bennett comes in. So now we have an extra grit, some extra grit, little sandpaper, a little feistiness.
And these are the qualities that Anthony Cirelli brought. But I think that Bennett has been playing excellent hockey over the last few weeks here and is a great addition. He was such a big part of last year's championship team.
Man, if they pair him up with Brad Marchand and Tom Wilson, that is a scary, scary line.
That would be your ideal energy line to shift the momentum if things go off the rails. But beyond that, you look up and down this lineup and there's still a lot more talent forward. We have not even mentioned guys like Mark Stone, Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, so much talent. I know you already mentioned him, Mark, but Macklin Celebrini, I'm so excited to see what he can do with some real talent. It's pretty tough for him in San Jose with some of his line mates, but he still manages to score at such an amazing rate for a guy this young.
The guy is on pace for 120 points, playing with a bunch of bums, basically.
I know, it's unbelievable. I'm pumped.
And I love the two-way play of Sam Reinhart and Bo Horvat. Not only are they responsible defensively, they're also snipers.
Yeah, a guy who's getting some buzz for a Selke trophy this year, Nick Suzuki, another really good 200-foot player. I'm really interested to see what he does. I would imagine he'll probably shift to the wing, but he's done that before in his career. I think he's going to be a key guy on our penalty kill.
This forward group is going to have an amazing power play.
Oh my goodness. I mean, at the Four Nations first goal of the tournament, it was incredible. Sidney Crosby, backhand pass on the power play. Nathan McKinnon. Oh, what a joy to watch, especially those two pairing up.
Yeah, there's no doubt that this forward crew is absolutely terrifying. However, if I look at the defense core, I'm a little bit concerned.
They basically return the exact same group that we saw in the Four Nations.
Yeah, which served us pretty well. Shea Theodore obviously went out of that tournament, so he will be back. He's a very smooth skater. But of course, let's start at the top of the chain here. Cale Makar, probably the best defenseman in the world.
I would argue maybe even the best player in the world.
And he'll have some familiarity back there as Devon Taves will join him.
Yeah, this is a defense pairing that is proven. I think the chemistry between them will work well. I really, really love Josh Morrissey, though. I do think he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the game. He's a very good puck mover, also good on the defensive end of things. So I think he's going to be a big boon for Team Canada.
So what worries you the most then, Mark, on that blue
Well,
line?
it might be lack of puck movers. If we get down in the game and have to push the tempo, beyond Makar, I don't see a lot of really scary guys. Like Travis Sanheim is a nice defensive player. You could say the same thing for Colton Parayko. I'm also a little bit worried about Drew Doughty. What's left in the tank? I know that he's accomplished so much for Canada on the international stage and has had a storied NHL career. But I look at a guy like maybe a Noah Dobson who would have been a better option as a right defender. Evan Bouchard obviously is the leading point getter. I think a lot of people were nervous about his defensive shortcomings, but I'm just not sure Doughty is a good fit at this point in his career.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would have been wise for them to select an extra defenseman. Maybe if Doughty doesn't have the gas tank, maybe if they could slot in a Noah Dobson or one of those guys.
Matthew Schaefer would have been a fun pick. I know
Sure.
he's only 18, but man, has he been something else. It would have been cool to have him there just for the experience of the event.
Yeah.
And between the pipes, we do not have a Carey Price this
Oh
tournament.
my God, do we not?
Yeah.
I can't believe it looks like Binnington might get the first start again. And that terrifies me.
He's had a rough season in St. Louis.
Yeah, no question about that. And I do share your anxieties about this one. However, I do want to temper it just a little bit because I remember having this exact same conversation last year at about this time. And he basically won the tournament for us.
Yeah, but you got to remember that in the rest of the tournament, he was shaky and let in a few bad goals. And yeah, he played out of his mind for a few minutes in overtime. I don't really want to roll the dice on that again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, he's not alone back there. He's with a couple other goalies, but they have been dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, for sure. Logan Thompson is currently out. It does look like he'll probably be healthy. And I think we probably all agree he is our best option long-term between the pipes. Also, Darcy Kemper was, dealing with injuries of his own. He's also back. So there are some other options, and they're not terrible.
They're not terrible goalies. Somebody's going to have to step up and run with it. I think we could see all three of them get a game maybe in the round robin, and then maybe they go with a hot hand from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be a lot more comfortable with a Carey Price or a Martin Brodeur or a Roberto Luongo, though, to be completely honest. Yeah.
One thing that works out well for Canada, though, is John Cooper. I have a lot of faith in him as a bench boss.
I hope he wears the outfit that he wore at that outdoor game. That would be quite a bold statement. I think it would be well received in Italy, actually.
That was awesome. You're right.
Fashionable country. That would be a fashionable look.
In Milan, especially. Yeah.
Now, of course, for Canada, it's going to be gold or bust. I don't think taxpayers want to foot the bill for another national inquiry.
Yeah, absolutely. What an exciting tournament this is going to be. I really can't wait. We're recording. Tomorrow is the last day of NHL hockey, and then it all begins.
So let's get to our gold medal picks.
Okay. Who wants to start it off here? Mark, maybe you go first.
Okay, well, you guys aren't going to like this. You might not be that surprised given what I picked in the Four Nations. I'm going to go with the Americans. And I think it comes down to their defense core being significantly better than ours, their goaltending being more reliable, and they do say defense wins championships. I think it will be close. I think they are going to have a slight edge because of those factors.
I am going to go with Team Canada.
Whoa.
I just love our forwards. I do have a lot of concerns in net, but I still think that we have enough firepower that Canada can pull this off.
Yes, I am also going to pick Team Canada for a lot of the same reasons. I think that Sidney Crosby has another gold medal in him. And obviously, Connor McDavid is going to be hungry for another one. I saw Connor McDavid wrote a letter where he talked about how important winning was and how best on best for him was kind of where hockey becomes something different.
He did.
Yeah, and that was very interesting. I think he's really looking forward to this. He hasn't won a lot in his storied NHL career. The Four Nations was just a taste for him. I think he wants the main dish.
Well, it's funny. I think he'll be right at home on a team that has questionable goaltending and maybe a few question marks on the decor. This just sounds like the Oilers to me.
Any dark horses for you guys in this tournament?
Well, I mean, to win the gold, I would probably put Finland as a dark horse. I don't think too many people expect them to do that. It's small ice. They're going to play a very tight check and defensively minded game. That's one where they could steal some.
I don't see them as even a dark horse, maybe kind of a light gray horse.
Sure.
But
Okay.
if we want to go a little bolder than that, how about Switzerland shocking the hockey world and somehow finding a way to get a bronze medal? Wouldn't that be a story?
Wow.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say the Czechia. I don't think they're necessarily going to get gold, but I think this team can medal.
Sure. Pasta. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Well, that about wraps it up. I cannot wait to watch these games in Milan, Italy. It's going to be so fun.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're going to be in Milan, Italy? Can I come?
I mean, the Rod Langway Fan Club podcast has waited a very long time. I'm not sure if all of our listeners understand this, but when we first started, we were hoping to talk about Olympic hockey, and it's been 10 years.
Yeah, we missed out on the Korean Olympics and then
China.
the China Olympics as well. Finally, it's coming.
Yeah.
And, with these short tournaments, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some teams get goalied.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always see at least one or two games where there's some amazing goaltender
Yeah,
performances.
single elimination tournaments are always fun.
It's
Yeah.
going to be big to win your division, right? If you
Yeah.
win your division, you get a bye.
Yeah, I think the key is avoiding that third best team, which I think we agree is Sweden. So whoever between the North American teams can avoid Sweden will have a significant advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating and a whole lot of fun. We're going to be watching the gold medal game here in Taipei. It's on at perfect time for us. We're so excited.
Once the Olympics are over, it's a quick turnaround. Don't forget that we will be back with a breakdown of the trade deadline and, of course, our stretch run report.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Enjoy the Olympics, and I hope you had yourselves a time.
Well, I hope you had yourselves a time. Hope you had yourselves a time. Hope you had time, yourselves a time. Hope you had yourselves a time. Well, I hope you had yourselves a time. Hope you had the time. Hope you had yourselves a time. Well, I hope you had